Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Chapter 10, Section 4 on surface area of triangular prisms. We're going to get started here on textbook page 773 and go all the way through textbook page 776. As you can see, you should be looking at a dirt bike rider here on textbook page 773, and the title of your section should say Surface Area of Triangular Prisms. It says to scan the lesson and predict two things you will learn about finding the surface area of triangular prisms. So as you can see here, we're going to be learning about the relationship between the area of the faces and the surface area of triangular prisms, and we're also going to be learning how to use nets to find the surface area. Now we're going to look at the real world link. It says Raj and his dad are building a ramp to move his dirt bike onto a trailer. Fill in the table, drawing the sides of the ramp and naming the shape of each face. So the front, as you can tell, the front is going to be this area right here. So I'm going to try and do the best I can to outline this in pink. So this is going to be the shape of the front. You can see it's this really thin sort of triangle here. So we're going to go ahead and draw a 90-degree angle like that, because we can see that right there you see the 90-degree angle, but you don't have to draw it on the actual triangle itself. And then a thin triangle like they have there. Now keep in mind you have a front and a back, and those are going to be the same shape. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing again back here just so you can see right there in the back. And now you can see the back as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing right here. And we're going to draw that triangle. So I'd like you to do the same. I know my triangle looks kind of weird there at the end, but then it says to shape of the face, we want to have triangle. So we're going to have triangle right here and on the next one. Excellent. So now we have triangle, triangle. For the top, now we need to look at the top. So I am going to erase what I did with the pink here so that you can see the top. You don't have to erase. I'm just doing it for you, or for your benefit rather, so that you can see the top. So now this is going to be the top right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can see, that is going to be in the shape of a rectangle. So let's go ahead and draw that rectangle here. And as you can see, I went ahead and I drew the rectangle, and I also named the shape by putting the word rectangle. Now, if the top is a rectangle, you also want to notice that the bottom is also a rectangle. So I'm going to do my best here to go ahead and outline this so you can see what I mean. And again, we'll have that shape there, right here, and right here. And I know it looks kind of funky there because we're looking at a 3D figure, but that bottom is also a rectangle. So we want to go ahead and draw our rectangle, and we also want to write that that is a rectangle, as I've done right here. So you want to make sure that you have the two rectangles there. So now we have two rectangles, two triangles, and we have one more thing left to identify. So I'm going to go ahead and erase the things that I've drawn. I'm going to switch colors, and I'm going to switch to purple now, and I'm actually going to draw the side. Now because it's a triangular prism, we only have one side, and it's going to be right here, outlined in purple. Okay, and as you can see, that side is going to be in the shape of a small rectangle. So we're just going to draw a small purple rectangle right here, and then we're going to write the word rectangle. All right, so now you can see that we have all of the shapes drawn and all of them named as well. Now you should be looking at textbook page 774. At the top of 774, you can see the net of the triangular prism that we're looking at here. So let's go ahead and go on and take a closer look. So right here it says surface area of a triangular prism. In words, it says the surface area of a triangular prism is the sum, so we know that word sum means to add them all up, of the areas. Well, we know how to find the area of a triangle, also of a rectangle. But of the areas of the two triangular bases and the three rectangular faces. Okay, so you're looking for two triangles and you're looking for three rectangles. So you just want to make a little note of that out to the side. All right, so as you can see for our model here, we have the two bases, the two triangular bases that are in purple, and then I'm going to go ahead and outline the three rectangular faces. So you have 1, 2, and then 3. Okay, so that's what you're looking for in a triangular prism. Then at the bottom, there's an extra little note here for you. It says a triangular prism is a prism that has triangular bases. Well, we know that. When the bases are equilateral triangles, remember equilateral means that all three sides are the same length. the areas of the three rectangular faces are equal. So if it's an equilateral triangle, then you know that the area for all three is the exact same. It says you can use a net to find the surface area of a triangular prism. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that now. Now we're looking at example 1. It says to find the surface area of the triangular prism. To find the surface area of a triangular prism, find the area of each face and then add. So we're going to do this with the colors that I used prior. So let's first find the area of the triangular base. So first, remember how we had to make sure that we were looking at the triangle correctly. See that little 90-degree mark right there? You have to make sure that you're looking at the correct side of the triangle and that it's oriented properly before you can find the area of the base. So I'm going to use my purple pen here to outline this triangular base. So you have right here. Okay, so now we know that our base, the base for my triangle is going to be 1 because that's right here. And I know that my height, see that little line right there, is going to be 0.9. So let's just go ahead and have that for now. I'm going to make it a little smaller here. So I'm going to use the formula area equals base times height divided by 2. So now I have the formula area equals, I'm going to put my base of 1 in, times 0.9 because that was my height. Oops. 0.9 because that was my height. And then we're going to divide all of that by 2. So now we're going to have 1 times 0.9, which still gives us 0.9, divided by 2. Off to the side somewhere, we're going to do that math. And now you can see in dark purple, I've done the math over there. Now we have area equals 0.45. Now keep in mind that's the area of one of the triangles. So we're just going to put one triangle right there. Now let's go ahead and go back and see what we can find out about our rectangles. So now we're looking at the rectangles, and I'm going to go ahead and erase what I've done here on the triangle itself. So now we can, and I'm going to erase that right there. Now we can look at our rectangle. So let's go ahead and outline that now. We've got this, and this. So that's what my rectangle, that's what my rectangles are looking like here. So now you can see that I have a side length of 2 centimeters right here, and I have a side length of 1 centimeter up here. So if you notice that that's all the same as that triangle as well. So let's go ahead and see what we can do for our triangle now, or our rectangle now. So now as you can see, we went ahead and multiplied the length times the width, which is 2 times 1, and then we get an area of 2. Now for our final piece, I'm going to do that in orange. That's where we're going to add them all together to find the surface area. So I'm just going to make myself a little box here. So now we've got one of the triangular faces, which is 0.45, plus 0.45, plus, and then keep in mind, how many of those rectangles do you have? You have 3 of them. So 2 plus 2 plus 2. So in all, you should have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different numbers. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 is going to give you 6, okay, plus 0.5 plus 0.5 is going to give you 0.9. So then your total is going to be 6.9, and that's your total surface area. So it'll be centimeters squared. Surface area equals 6.9 centimeters squared. All right, so you want to take a look at that, make sure you got that correct. Now we're going to go ahead and try it on your own. So you want to make sure that you have triangle and rectangle, and then that you've shown me that you've added all 6 numbers together on the bottom. Go ahead and try that now. Welcome back. So now let's go ahead and see if we can identify that triangle first. So now we can see the triangle here right in front, but I'm going to actually put my line, my little outline around the back one. The reason I'm doing that is because I can see the height in the perpendicular English line, so that helps me so that I know what the height is. So the height here is going to be the 5.2, but the base, see my base is right here, that's going to have to be the 6. See, notice you can see it because it's right across the way as being 6. So the height of my triangle is 5.2 and the base is 6. So let's go ahead and put that in down here. So now you can see that I found out that 6 times 5.2 gives me 31.2. So I'm going to just write A equals 31.2 divided by, divided by 2. And now I can also find out that 31 divided by 2, okay, it's what we find out is that the area of one of the triangular faces is going to be 15.6, So now we want to go on and take a look at our rectangles. So I'm going to go ahead and erase everything that we have here for our triangles and take a look at our rectangles. So in pink, you're going to see me outline the rectangle. We have one here, 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 and here. So these are our sides. And we can see that, actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and erase that. I'm going to use a different part of the rectangle so that you can see all the sides clearly. So now if we use this side of the rectangle, this side of the prism, you can see that one of our side lengths is this 7 centimeters. See it right here? And then you know that if this is 6 and this is 6, so this guy right here is also 6. So now when you're looking at the triangle, or I'm sorry, the rectangle rather, you can go ahead and write rectangle and then put that formula in, and you get that the area is going to be equal to 42 centimeters squared. So now what I would like to see that you have done is that you've added them all together. So I'll show you up here what that looks like. So now as you can see, I've color-coded it for you. You can see the two 15.6s. You can also see the 342s. And some of you might have noticed that when you divided the triangular, when you used the triangular formula, the triangle formula for area, you did the 31.2 divided by 2. So really you should already know that 2 of the 15.6s is going to be the 31.2. Plus, then you need to add that to, we'll say 84 plus another 42. So now we have one more step. Okay, so once you've done all the addition, you can see that you get the surface area is equal to 157.2 centimeters squared. So you want to make sure that that's what you got and that your work also looks like the work that you see on my paper here. If it doesn't, now is the time for you to fix that. Now you should be looking at textbook page 775. So let's go ahead and look at that. On 775 at the top, it says surface area of other triangular prisms. So what they mean is on these back here that we were looking at, these have equilateral faces, triangular bases. So what we're saying is, see how this is 6, 6, and 6? That's an equilateral triangle. So now we're going to be looking at triangular prisms that don't have equilateral bases. So now let's go ahead and take a look at that. It says you can also find the surface area of any triangular prism by adding the area of all the sides of the prism using an orthogonal, I can't ever say that, drawing. So it says example 2, find the surface area of the triangular prism. So you want to find the area of each face and add for this prism. Each rectangular face has a different area. So you want to make sure that when you're looking at this, first they were very nice and they gave you all of this right here. Oops, all of these. So that was really nice. But these are the ones that you're going to have to pull out at some point. So you want to make sure that you know how to do that as well. So I'm going to color code them and just show you how we're going to do that. So just like we did before, we're going to find the triangles. So right here, whoops, right here we can see the triangle and we're just going to outline it. And we're going to make sure, like always, that we look for that perpendicular because sometimes the triangles are not going to have their bases in the correct spot. So we have 2 of those, and those 2 triangles do have the same measurements. So our 2 triangles, as you can tell, are going to have measurements of 8, 15, and 17. But right now, when I list my triangle, I'm not even going to list that 17 because it has nothing to do with the parts that I need. So let me show you that now. So as you can see, I went ahead and drew the figure. That's what I would like to see you do. First, I want you to write triangle, then draw the figure of the triangle and label the dimensions that you need, then plug it in. So now we can see here that for the triangle, the base is going, or the area is going to be 60. So now I'm going to add another screen here. You may need to add another sheet of paper as well, but I'm going to add another screen here so that we can find each individual piece. So in this screen, you're going to see, we're going to look at the first rectangle that I see, which is going to be right here. And we're going to draw that and label that as well. So we're going to write rectangle. I would like you to do the same. And we're going to draw a rectangle. And you can see for our rectangle, and actually I'm going to just make it look sort of like we can see it here. So we have 20, and then we have 17 as a side length, okay? So now you see 20 and 17. Now we're going to find the area of it. So it's going to be area equals length times width. So area equals 20 times 17 or 17 times 20. Either is fine. So now you get area of this triangle is 340. So you can see that you have 340 there. So now I'm going to outline the next triangle, or the next rectangle rather, which is going to be right here. Okay, so I would like for you to be using different colors as well so that you can make sure that you're able to differentiate between the different ones. So now I'm going to write rectangle here, and we're going to draw our rectangle. So it was like that, and we know that one side is 8 and one side is 17. So let me go ahead and make that 8 look better. There we go, 8 and 17. So now we're going to do area equals length times width. Area equals 8 times 17. And when we multiply 8 times 17, and actually, hang on one second. Whoops, I actually just noticed it's not 8 times 17. I just noticed that it's actually supposed to be 20. So this guy right here is useless to us. We do not need him at all. I didn't realize, and that's a really poorly drawn picture, that this line right here was what that 17 was for. So I'm going to erase that though so that you can see what I'm talking about. So I made a mistake here. So let me go ahead and erase that. There we go. That is supposed to be a 20. And normally, I have no idea why I didn't see that. So right here, you're going to see it's going to be 8, and you're going to see the 20 right here. Okay? Okay, so now you can see the 8 clearly right here, but then this side right here was very easy for me to mix it up and get 17, so you want to make sure that you're careful as well. It's actually going to be that 20 that you see across the way. So now, let's go ahead and do this with the correct dimensions. Area equals length times width, and area equals 8 times 20, and we get area equals 160. So on this page, you can see that I went ahead and I pulled over the other figures. So I put a 60 in for each triangle. I put 340 in for the one that was 20 by 17. And now I'm going to put 160 in for the one that we just did. Okay, now we have one left. I'm going to go ahead and do this one in orange. And this one is going to be found with the 15 meters and the 20 meters. So you're going to see this right here, 15 and 20, 20 and 15. So now at the top, I'm going to write rectangle again. Okay, so as you can see now, we got an area of 300 for this rectangle. So now you want to add them all together. So I'm adding the 60 and the 60, which is the two triangles, plus the 300, the 340, and the 160. And here you get surface area equals 920 square meters, or meters squared. Okay, now you want to go ahead and try this one on your own. Remember, you might need an extra sheet of paper. Not might, you're definitely going to need an extra sheet of paper there so that you can have all of the different things out for each one of the different surface areas. All right, great, welcome back. So for the triangle, you have 4 meters and so you have 4 meters, and you don't want to be confused by this. This is not what you need, okay? You need the height, which is right here. So since you don't see anything for the height, you have to look across the way to see, okay, if this edge right here is 5.7, sorry, I'm definitely sick this weekend, then this edge over here is 5.7, which is your height. So we're going to use 5.7 for our height. So we get area equals 4 times 5.7 divided by 2. Then we're just going to go ahead and cross simplify right here. We get 1 here and 2 here. So then we're going to have an area of 5.7 times 2. So here we get an area of the triangle, which equals 11.4. Now we want to keep in mind that there are 2 of those. So this guy's 11.4 right here, and this guy's 11.4. I'm going to go ahead and erase everything on the diagram right now just so that I can show you how to do each piece. Whoops. So now we're going to go ahead. I switched papers over here so that we could get a little bit more on it. So now we're going to go ahead and outline the rectangles one by one. So we have this rectangle, which we're going to work with first right here. So we need to very carefully identify the side lengths because remember before how I made the mistake. So this side length is definitely going to be 8.6, and then this side length is going to be 5.7. So let's use those dimensions to go ahead and work with that rectangle there. Okay, so as you can see, we went ahead and found the area of this left-hand side rectangle. Now we're going to find the bottom rectangle. So I'm actually going to use a different color, maybe an orange. Here we go. So we're going to look there. We see that side length is actually 4. See, we can see it right there. And then we're going to see this side length here is going to be 8.6. So let's go ahead and write rectangle again. We'll draw ourselves a rectangle again. and that's going to have 4 and 8.6. So then let's fill that into the formula. So as you can tell now, we have the area of this rectangle on the bottom, so our bottom is going to be 34.4. So now let's go on to the next page again. Before I switch pages, I want to go back and just show you something that I did. So what I did was I went back here to this first page and I wrote triangle 1 and 2 because I want to make sure that you know how to keep track of the faces. So the triangle, they're going to be 2 and they're going to be the same size face. So that accounts for 1 and 2. Then we have rectangle, we'll call this rectangle 3. Then we have rectangle, and we'll call it number 4. And this is just face 3, face 4. It's not the third and fourth rectangle. So we have face 1 and 2. Let me circle those, 1 and 2. Then we have face 3 and 4. And remember, with the triangular prism, how many faces are you looking for? You're looking for 2 triangle faces and 3 rectangles. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one would be our last. So you just want to take a look and you want to see that we've already done the triangles, obviously. Now we've done the rectangle that's over here on the left side, basically that blue one. We've also done the rectangle on the bottom. So now we need this rectangle on the right side. So I'm going to say, okay, we're going to outline it like this. So we've got that length, that length, that length, and that length. Okay, so I know it looks a little weird, but we can definitely get our mind around that we need that. So here is where that 7 is going to come into play now, because the side length of the triangle right here is going to be 7 meters. So we're going to have that side length, and then we have this top up here. Now the top doesn't have anything numbered on it, so we're going to have to look to the bottom to see that. So you can see how the line there is going to be 8.6. So now we have that the area is going to be equal to the length times the width. So area is going to be equal to the 8.6 times the 7. Then we're going to want to do that math off to the side. And we get that our area equals 60.2. And so now we're going to take all of them that we had from before. So let's go back and check out our triangle. So our triangle right here gave us 11.4, but we need that one twice. So let's go ahead and write that our surface area is going to be equal to the 11.4 plus 11.4 plus, now let's go back and look. So we got both those triangles. Now we have a rectangle that's 4902 and a rectangle that's 34.4. So let's do 4902 plus the orange one, which was 34.4. plus this one, which is 60.2. All right, so now what I'm going to probably do is just go to the next page so I can line these all up and down so that I can see them and add them together correctly. Right, so as you can see, I did go ahead and go on to another sheet of paper so that I can make sure to line these up correctly, because if you look at that blue figure, it's got 49.02 in it, so we want to make sure that that doesn't mess up our addition. So we've got nothing in this far right column except for that 2. So I'm just going to write a 0 here, a 0 here, a 0 here, and a 0 here, so that you can all tell that that's what happened there. All those zeros get added up, and then we also have the 2. So the 2's there. 4 plus 4 is 8, plus another 4 makes 12, 13, 14. So we get a 4 right there. We have to make sure to carry our 1. 1, 2, 3. We have 9, 10, 11, 12. And plus 4 is going to give us 16. And then we're going to carry the 1, and we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, plus 6 is 16. So we get 166.42 meters squared. So now I'm going to go back to this page here, and I'm going to write that my surface area is going to be equal to 166.42 meters squared. And yes, that is a large problem. All right, so hopefully you did well with this problem as well. Let's go ahead and, as usual, let's start with our triangle. So let's outline it here. Now here's a tricky one. You got to make sure that you notice here. And actually, you could view this perpendicular line as going sideways or the other way, so we can use it just like this. That's fine. So this will be our base, and this will be our height. So now let's go ahead and write off to the side triangle. Then we're going to plug all that in. Now we'll just cross simplify those 2's out, and we are left with our area of 5. Now keep in mind that this is face 1 and face 2, because you have this one and then you also have this guy back here. So that's where those come from. Now let's go ahead and see if we can take care of some of these rectangles as well. I'm going to go ahead and work for one of the rectangles on here too. So let me just erase the triangular basis now. So now we're going to look at one of the rectangles. So let's look at this one right here on top first. So we get this guy right here on top, pretty large. Let's write rectangle. As you can see, we have a side length of 4 feet and a side width of 5.4 feet. So we're going to have our rectangle drawn here, and we'll have 4 by 5.4. Then we'll just plug that in and solve. So as you can see, I went ahead and solved here. So now we have our triangle, which is our faces 1 and 2, so we'll count that twice. Then we have our first rectangle, which will be face 3. Now let's go ahead and go on and look at the next rectangle. Why don't we go ahead and look at the one here in the back? So we got this guy right here, not very big. You can see we've got 2 feet for one of the lengths, or for the width, and then we need to figure out what this guy is down here. We can figure this guy out here by looking across the way. We see that it's 4 down there, so it's also going to be 4 for our length. So now we need to write the word rectangle again. So now, as you can see, I went ahead and plugged those values in, and I got 8. So I'm going to switch back really quickly and see, okay, we had, whoops, I switched back too far. So we have face 1 and 2. We have face 3. So this one will be face 4 right here. That's our 8, the area of 8. And now let's see if we can get our last one in here. We have one more face, so let's see where we can identify that. So we've done the one on top, we've done the one in the back there, so now we need to do the one on the bottom. So hopefully you can see that there. So I'm going to go ahead and erase what I've done on this figure, and now we're going to outline the one on the bottom in pink. So you'll be able to see that. So here, 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 and here. Oops, that's not a good side length. So hopefully you can see that there. Excuse me. So now let's go ahead and write the word rectangle again. All right, so as you can see, I went ahead and plugged everything in there, and we found the area of 20. So now I'm going to add one more sheet of paper in between here, and we're going to add it all up. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we have here so far. So we've got that our final surface area is going to be equal to the following face lengths added together. And I'm going to write them lengthwise first, and then I'll write them up and down so we can add them together. I might even just write them up and down just so we can add them at first. So if you go all the way back, hold on, way back here, you can see that our triangle that we're going to count twice is going to be 5. So it'll be 5 plus 5 plus 21.6. You can see the blue rectangle. So let's go there. So it'll be 5 plus 5 plus 21.6. Now you need to be careful here that you line the decimals up properly. Then we will need the fourth face, which is 8. So we'll write an 8 right there. And then we'll need the last face, which is 20. So we'll write that in pink right there. So before you get to counting, you want to make sure that you have all 5 faces. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. Now you just want to add those all up. Now I want you to notice that I'm going to be adding decimals and zeros here just so that you make sure that you have not messed up your place values. And you've been good. So now we have 6 here, and 5 plus 5 is 10, 18, 19. Carry the 1. 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. And so we have our final answer, which is surface area equals 59.6. We need to see what the units were. I believe it was feet squared. So that's our final answer. And we can put that on the answer line. So you want to put that on the answer line to the right. All right, so now you should be looking at textbook page 776. I know you've done a lot of work so far, so let's go ahead and take a look there. All right, so now we're looking at 776. At the top, you can see it says a bakery boxes pastries in a triangular prism box as shown. Find the amount of cardboard it used to make a pastry box. Then it says to sketch and label the bases and faces of the triangular prism. Then add the areas of the polygons. So here's what I'm going to do. Because you guys did a lot of work on those last 2 problems, I'm just going to go ahead and go through each of these pieces here so that you can see where each piece comes from. So as you can tell, they have this 2 here. Now the 2 means that there are 2 triangular bases. So you want to write that that is for the triangular bases. Now the 1/2 comes from the formula, right? And then you have 7 and 12. So notice the height of the triangle is 12. So you'll see that I'm circling here. That's the height of the triangle. And then the length, or the base rather, is going to be right here, and that's the 7. So that's where they got this whole box from. That's for the triangles. Plus for this one, you can see that they've also written 2 again, because you have rectangles that have the similar sides. So we're looking at this guy at 12.5 and this guy at 1. But notice you have 2 of them. Here's one and here's the other one. So that's where this formula here comes from. You should definitely be using colors right now so you can make sure that you get all this correct. And then the last piece is going to be right here. I'm going to use pink for it. You can see that you have the 7 right there. Notice it counts to this, it points to the 7 again, and then you have a 1 right here. So this little chunk right here is for this part of the equation right here. So when you multiply that up and you add it all up, you get 116 square inches of cardboard. So for this particular problem, that's all I'm going to have you do for the example piece. I don't want you to have to go back through and work it all out again. And also, because I'm in such a generous mood, I really only want you to do numbers 1 and 2. Now, you do need to have a large sticky or a piece of lined notebook paper already attached inside your textbook. And in fact, these types of problems probably won't do well with a large sticky. So I would probably just add some lined paper and go ahead and show me all your work on there. So you just have 2 problems, and I will see you soon. Woohoo! You're all finished. You are my math warriors, and I can't wait to see you next time.